today you worked in teams to create sentences that had to do with the Effie Pygmies and about their way of life and how they live. And everybody came up with sentences. And what we're going to do today now is we're going to work on getting these sentences in order so that they sound right, so that they sound good in a paragraph. And then the next time we come to this, we'll be correcting it to make sure that it doesn't have any errors, spelling, capitalization, all that is correct. But right now we're just going to work on the content, how it sounds. First, let's review, since we haven't looked at this in a little while, let's review our sentences and read them over, okay? Let's start over here. Here we go. The hut is made out of wood and leaves. The continent that they live is in Africa. They make their hut out of sticks. What's this word? Hut. It's not houses. You've got to look at the rest of the word. Right? Yeah, that's okay. All right. I'm sorry. They make their hut out of sticks, leaves, and mud. They climb trees to get honey. They gather food from the garden. But what we want to do first, before we do that, we want to make sure it sounds okay. And that's the same thing in Writer's Workshop, right? When you're working on a draft, you want to make sure that it sounds okay. And then you worry about cleaning it up, right? So that's what we're going to do first. First of all, do you see a sentence, do you see any sentences that go together, that talk about the same topic, same thing? Anne-Marie. Okay, they hold a stick of smoke to wear out the bees, and they climb trees to get honey. Over here? Oh, I got you. Okay, so all these go together. Okay, Anne-Marie, I'm going to have you... Where's the other one? Am I missing one? Do I have all three in my hand? Okay. Well, actually, you're kind of in the back, so right now I'm going to have Drew hold these, okay? Okay, Drew, you have all the honey sentences. Let's hold on to those for a moment. Okay.
The students will continue to group sentences into the main ideas of the paragraph. Having the students visually separate the sentences provides English learners with a concrete example of good writing strategies.
The kids had lots of practice. They had the input, so they'd had the whole story. And then they had worked with it orally, they'd worked with the word cards, they'd had lots of guided oral practice, lots of time to negotiate for meaning, to put the story together for themselves and put the information together. And at that point, they're ready to start doing some writing. So the cooperative paragraph was that was the middle section. The first, step one we did earlier today, and that was getting your teams, get heads together, let's come up with some sentences orally. And they all have to agree on what it is their sentences are going to be, so that everybody has that participation at the oral level. So even the children in this class who aren't reading, and there are some that aren't reading yet, they will know the sentence, they'll be familiar with the sentence, they have to know the sentence. I have all the tables share. Sometimes I roll the dice and, okay, number 3 at this table, you've got to share, and they have to be ready. So they all know the sentence. Then it gets put on the word card. Goes into the charts. And that was where we picked it up today. We did content editing today. And content editing is where you're just strictly looking at how does it sound, how does it flow, what kinds of ideas are here. Let's look at the order. I was trying to get across starting with the bigger ideas, the wide-reaching ideas, where do they live, and then breaking it down a little bit. And so that's what we worked on today. And it still needs a little more work. We still need to have some more editing to do with the content. But then once that is done, then we do correctness editing. And that's where we hash out all of the skill stuff. And if there's a skill that they aren't picking up on, if they're not noticing that there should be a capital or there should be a period here, that's where I take the time to give the instruction and say, okay, when we are writing, whatever it is, whatever the skill is. So that'll be the final step of editing. And then what we do is we get it typed up, and everybody gets a copy, and then that becomes their reading practice. And then we do lots of things with that. With some of the kids, the kids that are at the higher levels, we do further editing. We add more content, more detail, taking it a step higher, challenging them. With the kids that are just beginning to read, I may take a few sentences from that paragraph, put them on word cards, and let's just take this piece, and let's just work on this piece, and work on some skills that they need. So you can take that same piece of text and meet all the needs depending on where they are. And that way it's so much more inclusive. What's our whole paragraph going to be about? The Effie Pygmies, right? And are we going to be talking about how they are different from the Machaganga and these other people we studied? Sure. Now, Ariel, I want to pick on you a little bit more. What do I need to do to that? First of all, what is this sentence called? Do you remember? Do you remember? What's it called? The topic sentence. And who remembers what the topic sentence does? Drew, what does the topic sentence do? Okay, you are on the right track. You've talked about something that we're going to bring up in just a minute. What does the topic sentence do, Anne-Marie? It tells you what the paragraph is about. Now, Drew, get back to what you were saying. What do we have to do to that topic sentence? Right, we have to indent. Because we're starting a new topic. Space there. Now I'm going to go down to the next slide. Okay? Effie Pygmies are different than other rainforest tribes. And then we're going to go on to describe. Now, we have where they live. We have a little bit about what they look like. We have homes. We have honey, which would actually go with food, wouldn't it? And we have how they're nomadic and how they get other types of food. Raise your hand if you have an idea. What should we discuss first? Remember when we talk in a paragraph, we start with the big ideas?